Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Senior Vice Presidents and Circle of Champion members, Myriam de la Sierra and BOKHARI!
Good afternoon, ACN. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon to Munich. I'm so grateful personally to all of you. Quickly, they call me BOKHARI, but my name is Sayyid Basharat Bukhari Bashir. I'm originally from Pakistan, but actually, any Pakistanis around here? Thank you. But my father was from a town in India called Jalandhar. Anybody from Jalandhar? Wow, some of you. And my mother was from a town in Pakistan called Gujarat. Any Gujaratis around here? So I would like to say good afternoon, Sat Sri Akal, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, all the things, etc., etc. You see, out of my 58 years, I had lived 15 years in Pakistan. I have lived my last 27 years in Spain, and I have lived rest of the time in the rest of the world. After studying aeronautical engineering, I joined Air Force as an officer. Then I worked for the government, and finally I worked for the airline. And while I was working in the airline, two very important incidents and events happened in my life which made me think that what is the life about? One was that my mom got sick in the hospital. And at that time, my father called me and said, "Son, you got to come." I went to my boss and I told him, I said, "I have to go." He said, "Captain, you have a problem. According to the regulations and your contracts, etc., you have 30 days leave and you have already availed it. You are left with no leave this year. You have a choice not to come to work if you are sick." I was at that time. Okay? And he says, "Otherwise, if you don't come, you will be fired. And the only way you don't have to come is if somebody close to you is dead." "Is somebody dead?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "So you can't go." I picked up the phone. I called my father in Pakistan. I said, "Dad, I can't come." That's the reality of life we all live in. But the fact is, the next day my mom died. I was angry because I was living in a system where I was not allowed to go and visit my sick mother. It was not the fault of a person, it was a fault of a system, and I did not have my freedom. I was living a slave's life, of a modern slave's life, getting a good income. I promised myself, I want my freedom. I want the freedom for my kids. That's the way it all started. I buried my mother, I came back and I started searching for a way to find my freedom. At the same time, after some time, my father fell sick. My brother called me, he said, "Brother, you got to come." I was willing to go, but it took me some time to gather enough money to go back. And my father was buried. I realized I do not have enough money to be able to go and see my dead father. He was buried. In my country, in my culture, one of the things is you live with a purpose to change your life and the life of your family. You stay together. That was what is important for me. I discovered I want my freedom and I want my financial independence. 7 years ago, a friend called me and said, "Bash, I need your help. Do you know someone who's looking for an opportunity because my company is expanding and looking for some business-minded people?" I went and saw a presentation. I did not understand anything. But then I was invited to a training, an international training event like the one you are here today. That was 7 years ago in Nice, France. And they told me, "You will be trained by the best of the best in the whole of Europe and some in the world. So you should go and have a look at there, because probably they would be able to show you the vision of your freedom and your financial independence. I came here. I was sitting just like you people in this stadium in Nice. And I found my two masters. They say when the student is ready, the master appears. I was lucky, I didn't find one. I found two. The first one, Mr. Mike Kupich. You will have the honor to see him again. You saw him earlier. He taught me the business. He taught me the compensation plan. He taught me how to achieve my freedom. He taught me how to achieve my financial independence. I got all the information. I knew what was to be done. But there was one little thing left. And that was the choice. Was I willing to start it? And then on 23rd of June, 7 years ago, Sunday at 1 o'clock, came my second master, Mr. Greg Provenzano, the president of the company. You will have the honor to see him. And he said, today in this room, there could be one of you sitting, and I was one of the people sitting in your chair. He said, one of you sitting in this room has seen the business, wants to be part of this business, and that person has a choice of his freedom. The only choice you have is the choice of freedom. You have the choice to make the decision to be able to learn this business, be humble enough to learn this business, be honest enough to do it honestly, help everyone, and your decision will be responsible to change your life, the life of your loved ones, the life of your family, and maybe you change the life of a village, a town, a country, a city, or the whole nation, or maybe the whole world. I bought his mission, and I told myself, maybe, yes or maybe no, but directly or indirectly one day, Myriam and I, we are going to have one of the biggest organizations in the world. This would not have been possible if someone had not invited me that day to Nice. And I'm so grateful to her. So for having told me, darling, would you come with me to spend a weekend in Nice? I said, of course. So I will come back, but I will today leave you with my dear wife, Senior Vice President, Circle of Champions, Myriam de la Sierra.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, ACN. Good morning. My name is Myriam de la Sierra. I'm from Spain. And today I would like to share with you one of the key points on how to be absolutely successful and having fun in this business. Let me tell you a little bit how I started in ACN. It was exactly 8 years ago. I used to have my own business for 29 years. And as a business person, I thought I was going to be happy. I thought I was going to have my freedom, and I was going to have everything I wanted in life. Well, I was wrong. I thought I had a business, but the business had me. So after some time, I was very successful. But the last years, you know, in businesses, sometimes you earn and sometimes you learn. I was learning a lot, which means my business was doing absolutely terrible. And I was 50 years old, and I had 2 kids. I was all by myself, trying to figure out how could I do it in my life. But when you lose your money, you lose your houses, the worst thing you lose is the faith in yourself. But I was very lucky. I've always been a very positive person. So one day I got a phone call from somebody in Italy, and he called me up and said, I have a great opportunity for you. So he invited me to a presentation, but the presentation was not a normal presentation. It was to an international event in Nice. There I met the founders, I met Art Napolitano, and I fell in love with the opportunity. And let me tell you, one of the greatest things I had was an amazing support. And that was Art Napolitano. I remember he used to call me up once every 15 days and telling me one very important thing for me at that time. He was saying, Myriam, I believe in you. You are the best. So I thought, gee, I need to show him that he's right. So I had a very strong why. Because I remember my sons were having a tough time because they were used to live very well. So my eldest son, Alex, that you're going to see now, one day he was in the kitchen and he was looking at me and said, Mommy, what happened to our life? The credit cards don't work anymore. We lost the houses, the cars, everything we had. What happened? And after coming from that event in Nice, I looked at his eyes and I told him, Alex, one day you will be proud of your mom again. And that was my why, okay? So that's my life. I mean, I can tell you my life has changed in an amazing way. Not only financially, but also business-wise, and I feel really well. And let me tell you one thing. I got two opportunities in one shot. One day I was doing a presentation. There was one man sitting there, and after doing the presentation, he asked, who's going to teach me about the business? And he answered a very, very good thing. They told him, this lady is going to teach you. And he made this professional question. Is she married? So they told him, no, she's not married. So he said, I got another opportunity. So let me tell you, he not only got the opportunity, I also got it. So after some time, Bosch and I got married and are full-time in ACN with all our family. So today, I want to tell you why a lot of the SVPs, Circle of Champions, and all the leaders here are having so much success in ACN. We're going to talk about something very, very important. We're going to talk about feeling good. And when I'm talking about feeling good, means that we have to make sure that people come and look at the opportunity and they start feeling good. Now, I'm going to do a little sketch today so that we're going to have a little bit of fun. But I want you to get the point. What happens when we do a business presentation? What happens there? How do people feel when there's a new person that comes to a place that he doesn't know anything what's going on there? There's a bunch of crazy people around, and he gets to the main entrance. We're going to talk about the first impression. The first impression is the first thing that a person gets when somebody receives that person in the meeting. Now, let's talk about this fantastic guest. She's all excited. She comes to the registration, and you have to pay. Sign here. What are you doing? What is this? I mean, what's happened? I don't know. What's his business? I'm a guest. I came here for the first time. What's going on here? So the person who's at the desk should be the nicest one. Should be a person that smiles, a person that gives a welcome. Hello, how are you doing? Is it your first time? Who invited you? Okay? And then now the guest is coming, right? So imagine it's his guest, right? So he is excited when it's his guest. Okay? Now, what are we going to do now is we're going to make sure that he introduces, just a second, he introduces the speaker. Now, just a second, Vincent, just a second. Let me explain what's happening here because it's very important. Mr. Richard Roux, Senior Vice President of the company, is doing what? Doing the presentation. Now, what happens? Vincent is taking his guest to introduce him. So he's telling him that he is one of the most successful people in the world. He is just amazing. He's a crack. He's going to conquer ACN. So the speaker starts feeling bad. I mean, this guy starts growing and the speaker starts going down. Okay, now, how do we normally do that? Now, why am I saying it's so important to introduce the speaker? Okay? It's very important to introduce the speaker because Begoña, team coordinator, right now, but she's a guest, okay? She is going to meet the person who's going to present the business. Now, what is he going to do? Let's take it easy. What is he going to do? He's going to present Begoña, and he's going to say, well, you're very lucky today, Begoña, because we have somebody really special in the presentation. You know, this person is a great speaker. He's not only a great speaker, he's one of the most famous people in the industry. He's been very successful, and he actually is doing something amazingly well. So what is she going to do? Number one, she already knows him. Number two, what happens? What happens is she's going to listen to him because he just edified the speaker. Now, one of the most important things is when we have a business presentation, everybody should introduce the speaker because they don't know who it is. And you need to promote him, edify him, so the person says, I better listen. He's a successful person. What do we do normally? We edify what? The guest. Now, Richard is going to start the presentation. So what happens normally when he starts the presentation? Let me tell you, there's the right rep and the wrong rep. Okay? Now, he started explaining the business. So Alex is explaining Begoña how fantastic it is, how much money you can make. Look at this. He's sitting forward. He's giving her a paper to take notes. So she's all excited about what she's looking at. And look what happened to the other one right here. I have never seen that in any meetings, by the way. He just started looking at his iPhone, having fun, and talking to the guests while he's presenting an opportunity that can change the life. So he's speaking, and he is just doing something he shouldn't be doing. Now, what happens? The guest looks at the rep. What happens? Richard starts telling the story like he does always. He says, I speak perfect Spanish. People will understand because I speak from the south of Spain. Well, he's American, so he's got a terrible accent in Spanish. So everybody laughs. Well, he has heard him 20 times, but he doesn't think it's funny anymore, right? So he starts saying, oh, this is boring. What does the guest do? He started doing the same thing. While the other one is just saying, wow, this is a fantastic opportunity. Look at what's going on. How are we going to do the presentation? And have you seen that in any meetings? So what happens? Oh, normally that doesn't happen also. But somebody calls you, right? So the person who's on the front row goes out to trying to find the guest that never shows up. Is that right? So he goes out, tries to find the rep. The new guest, he puts his hand like trying to find him at the end of the place. He never shows up. Oh, he finds her. Wow. And then he finds the guest and takes the guest in front of everybody, disturbs everybody, and sits her in the front row. Well, the guest is watching already what you need to pay when you start an ACN. So it's the right time to come in, right? So what happens is they start talking. So the concentration of this fantastic person is not there anymore. Now, how do we behave in a presentation? What's the right atmosphere? That's the key of the success. Now, what happened now? The presentation is finished. We give him a big applause. Thank you very much, Richard. You did an amazing job. Come on. Good job, good job. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Richard. Give him a big hand. Okay? Did a great job. Now, what happens afterwards? What normally people do is get up and leave. Now, some people decide to sit down and look. Let me tell you what you need to do. When you're talking to somebody, you should never do what Vincent is doing. He's trying to press the person. He's looking down. So the guy says, no, I'm not interested. I'm leaving, right? So what you need to do is sit down, turn the chair around, talk to the person, explain the questions, and make sure the person feels good. Because that's one of the things that we need to make sure. Let me tell you one thing. If the person is not interested, what do you need to do? You cannot give an aspirin to somebody that doesn't have a headache. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what do we need to do? It's just make sure people feel good and they're looking for something. Okay? Now, Begonia decided to start. So thank you very much, guys, for this demonstration on how to behave. Okay? Thank you. So what is the point of all this? I wanted to make sure you understand what's happening to somebody that's new. They feel uncomfortable. They're in a place they don't know what's going on. They don't know the people. And they don't know what's going to happen. So how do they need to feel? Number one, the first thing they need to feel is they need to feel energy. Positive energy in the room. Let me give you an example. If people are excited, what happens? It's contagious. There's a very funny thing about why do you think they sell more chicken eggs than chicken from a duck? Does anybody know that? A duck, when it puts an egg, you know what they do? They go pluck, and nobody hears it. Well, the chicken, when they put an egg, you know what they do? They go. That's the reason why they sell more chicken eggs than chicken from a duck. So if we want to motivate people, if we want to have the right atmosphere, we need to be excited. And when I'm talking about excitement, I'm talking about a feeling that people say, I don't know what's going on here, but I want to be part of this. Most of the people don't understand anything anyway, but they understand the feelings, okay? I remember some years ago, I went to do a presentation in South Africa. And I went to this presentation in South Africa, and I was doing a training for about half an hour, and there was about 800 people. And those people were from the tribes. So I remember I was giving my training, and I used to say, the business, you have to do it step by step. So everybody was going step by step, step by step. I was thinking, ooh, okay. And after a while, I finished the presentation, and I remember I went over to talk to the people. So I started looking at this fantastic lady. She's on the front row. I give her my hand. I said, how are you doing? And I start talking to her, and she didn't understand anything I was saying. After a while, I go to another one. He didn't understand anything I was saying. I was wondering, what did I do that people were all excited and they didn't understand anything? So I went to the president of the company. I looked at his face and I said, what do you think I was doing here? I was training people for more than half an hour, and I just found out they don't speak any English. So he looked at me and he said, Myriam, don't worry. They got the feeling. So I got the point, okay? We need to transmit this special feeling of feeling good and well received, okay? Now, the other thing that we should create in a meeting is being careful about what we say. I don't know if that happened in your country, but in Madrid, I remember one day I was there giving a presentation, and you know, there's always people who invite people and they don't show up. Does that happen to you too? Yeah? Okay. So this guy comes in with one guy and says to me, Myriam, you know what? I've invited 10 people, and the only one who came was this one. So this one must have thought, I'm the only idiot, right? Because I'm the only one who came. So we have to be very careful on what we say. We can't talk about negative things. We can't talk about things that make people feel bad. You know, the reason why the conventions are so successful is because of the atmosphere. It's because of the feeling, right? How do you feel today? Now, can we do the same thing every single day? Because sometimes when I go to presentations, I feel like people think they're going to their jobs. Do you agree with that? Oh, I have to go again. I need to take some guests. We'll see if they come. Now I have to sit down and see and listen to this one again, talking about the same stories, 20 hours. And how does the guest feel? Don't you think they feel it? We have forgotten why we are there. The reason why we are there is we need to show the vision. Now, if I show you this, do you see anything there? Do you see a turtle? Do you see something? Do you see anything? Now, if I show you this, do you see a dog? Okay? The image is not matching very well here. Okay? But there's a dog back there. So what do we need to do? We need to show people there's something there. But how do we show it if we feel it? I want you to think about one single thing. I want you to think that the reason why we create an environment is to make people dream again. Now, let me tell you a little story about a guy. I remember this guy one time. He was in his farm, and this guy had a beautiful daughter, and he decides that he wants to get somebody for a beautiful daughter to marry her. Now, what happens? He thinks, okay, I'm going to try to find the best guy in the whole area. But he's going to be somebody that's tough, that's brave, that's intelligent. And I'm going to offer him 3 things. I'm going to ask him if he's able to do something special, he can get one of the 3 things. He can either choose to get all the money I have in the bank, he can choose to get on my farm, or he can choose to marry my beautiful daughter. Talking about motivation, that was pretty motivating. So he got all the youngsters from all the area and told them that he had these 3 prizes. So he decided to make a test. So he got a big swimming pool, and what he did is he put some crocodiles inside the swimming pool. So he looked at the youngsters, and he said to the youngsters, okay, I want to know who's the toughest one here. I want to find out who's able to swim from one side of the pool to the other side of the pool. That guy will be able to choose what they want, to marry my daughter, to get the money, or get my farm. So all the youngsters were looking at that, said, we're not that motivated. That's terrible. I said, I don't think I'm going to do that. Until 1 minute later, he listens to a splash. He sees this guy coming inside the pool, rushing, swimming, and coming out on the other side of the pool. He was so excited. He thought, I got the right guy with the right motivation to fight for my daughter, for my land, for my money, to keep on having everything I've worked for my whole life. So he goes to the guy and asks him, I want to know, what is your motivation? Why did you risk your life to cross this? What do you want to have? Would you have to want my daughter, the farm, or the money? The guy turned around, looked at the guy in the face and said, the only thing I want to know is who was the idiot who threw me in the pool. Okay? So there is different motivations in life, right? So what we need to do is find out what the motivation of the people are. So the speaker, when he's doing the presentation, he needs to find out who he has in front of him. He needs to find out who's the person there. What motivation does he have? Because if I start doing a presentation, I don't know who's sitting there. I don't know their motivation, I must say something that nobody's interested. Now, what are we? We are people who inspire people. What do? When we have a presentation, we're not giving information. We're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about how to live a better life, how to do what we want in life, how to get the dreams out of the people that maybe lost them, people that don't have faith in themselves. We're talking about something for their lives. And I see meetings where people go there and say, I got 3 guests, see if they sign. What are you talking about, signing? We're talking about their lives. We're talking about the responsibility that you have in your hands. If you don't want to take it, but you're playing with the lives of your guests. Do you understand what I'm saying? We need to be very careful on that. I get upset when I see that in the meetings. Disorganized people that are not looking with the right image. They're going with shorts. They don't behave well. They're negative. Now listen, we need to give the best of what we have in our heart. And that's the key. We're talking about a miracle. We have a present in our hands. And the present is the opportunity. What do I do with the present every day? I give it to somebody. If the person doesn't want it, no problem. I take it back. And I give it to somebody else. And if the person doesn't want it, I take it back and give it to somebody else. But I feel good about it because I have an amazing opportunity to change people's lives. So when we are presenting the opportunity in a business presentation, when we're doing a training, we need to give the best of what we have. We're there to inspire people. We're there to tell people they can change their lives. It's in their hands, the decision they can take that single day. And you're playing around with your computer, and you're coming in and out, and the leaders are outside. I've never seen that. They're outside. Why should they listen to the person who's talking? They leave the guest alone. The guest doesn't know how to behave. He doesn't know what to do. He's alone. He's in an atmosphere. He doesn't know anybody. Maybe it's even a cold market, and he's alone. You understand? We need to create the atmosphere that people know we're helping them, that we're doing something for them. Now, like Greg Provenzano was telling us this morning, and I was very touched with what he says, is we need to get a difference between thinking that we have a job or we're working and doing what we're doing. Let me ask you a question. Why are you here? Are you here just to do something to make some money? You're in the wrong place. ACN is a self-development company with a compensation plan. That's what we are. Okay? ACN is a way of changing people's lives, so you have to be ready for that. You have to change in order to inspire people to change their lives. You know how many people can change with this opportunity? It's touched my heart and the heart of my whole family. Now, let me ask you a question. What choices do you have in life? And I asked that question the other day to some of the reps. I asked them, if a doctor would tell you today that you only have 6 months of life, would you be doing what you're doing right now? Would you change something? Would you like to do what you're doing? Would you change the person you're with? Would you do something for your kids? Would you like to work where you're working? Now, let me give you a strong answer. You might not even have 6 months of life. We don't know. So we better change what we're doing, because life is too short to just be happy on the weekends. Life is too short. Okay? We need to take decisions now. So if we go to the business presentation, if we go to talk to people with this in our heart, what are we going to do? we're going to attract a lot of good people with us. And that's the key of the success in ACN. You become a leader knowing where you're going with a strong spirit about what you're going to do, and make sure you help a lot of people reach where they want to reach. I don't understand when people tell me, oh, I'm not going to work with my cross-line. We just work with our team. Let me tell you, in ACN, you're not alone. We're a team. We all together are going to make ACN the #1 company in the world. But let me tell you, if we are together, if we take our egos out of the way, I'm better, I give better speeches. No, we're here to help, okay? We're here to inspire. We're here to guide people. And I want to finish just telling you a little story that to me is very impactful. One of the things that I saw one day and changed my way of thinking my life was that we cannot fill up the days of our life. We need to fill up the life in our days. We need to live with passion every morning. We are very lucky. We are so lucky to be here today. A lot of people will never, ever, ever have the opportunity of being here because nobody would talk to them. And what are we doing with it? We need to create the right environment to give power to people. We need to tell people that they can do something better than what they think they can. And this is a real story. They did a test in the United States. And they took a class of people, of kids. And in this class of the kids, there were 40 kids. They divided the class in half without knowing who was good or bad. What did they do? They took the teachers aside and they told them, the class A, they're super intelligent. They're super bright. The kids are really amazing. And the class B, they're really dumb. They are very lazy. They're never going to go anyplace. Guess what happened after 1 year? That's called in psychology Pygmalion effect. The expectations you have with your people are the reality. Those teachers, to the kids they thought they were very intelligent and very bright, they started treating them like they were superstars. They were encouraging them. They were telling me, you can do it. They were being patient. They were showing them how to do the things. When they were talking to the other class, they said, this is a dummy. He's never going to make it. What's the purpose of showing him anything? It's not making any sense. And they never made it. The class, they thought it was great people. They got the best grades. The class that teachers thought they were terrible, they failed. Now, what are we doing with our reps? What are we doing with our expectations? Do we expect they're going to succeed? Like our Napolitano, you're the best, you can do it, I'm going to be backing you up. I always tell our team, Bash and I will be backing you up to support you when you're a little bit down, and we'll be in front of you to guide you. And let me tell you, we're never going to turn around to see who's coming behind us. We're going to keep on going because that's our mission. Okay? So what are you doing? Are you Pygmalion effect with your rep? Do you expect them to be superstars? And let me ask you the other question. What do you expect about yourself? Do you expect that you deserve it? Do you believe you can do things? Because the way you think about yourself is what you're going to do. If you believe you don't deserve any money, you will never make any money. Since we're little kids, they tell us what? What do they tell us? It's better to be poor and honest, right? They never tell us it's better to be rich and honest and help a lot of people. So let me tell you, if we're here in this business, we need to create the environment for people to succeed. So we need to start having the right atmosphere, talking the right words, because words create images that create emotions. And we are here to create great feelings of people getting empowered and thinking, I found my way. I know where I am because with ACN, I'll get any place where I want to get in my life. I'll get my freedom. I'll get my happiness. I'll get everything I want. I'll